What's up, everybody? We're back here again, yet again, episode 27, the Pitside podcast. My good buddy Roger Craig. I am Preston Cranmer. Got a great episode for you this week. After some really crowded episodes, you're going to get to experience Roger and I just kind of hanging out a little bit. But before we do that, we have one of the, I'm told, the Ohsweken Posse. I was not familiar with that term before tonight. One of the original Ohsweken Outlaws, and has recently made a pretty strong return to our Monday night races. And then again here Wednesday for the first Hometown Heroes in Chad Cote. So we'll talk to him here in just a minute. And let's get started. Yep, so we're back again, as I mentioned, episode 27. I think Roger and I are just kind of been catching up after our first night of Hometown Heroes. We're pretty excited about how things went. I'm really glad how many people showed up, and Roger and I have been just kind of reminiscing on all the planning and now how things are starting to run, and probably talked more on off the podcast than we have otherwise. But it was definitely a fun night. I was really excited about mainly how everything went.
So I think, yeah, we got to come back and talk about that and a bunch of other stuff. I mean, we're starting a whole new season. But we got a special guest coming on here that I've been wanting to get on for a while, Chad Cote, one of the original. Well, you know, he goes back. Well, you find out during the interview, but I mean, he goes back before even Ohsweken Outlaws, which was the original form of the G-Force Racing League. So. Been looking for that. And the other thing I wanted to mention too, episode 27. Like, I was just looking Rivals Race Chat. You know, like we try to emulate everything Ohsweken does. It seems, you know, and so they've got their very successful show on. And I just looked the other day. They're like episode 72. Like they're not. I thought they were like 250 or something. Like they're episode 72. We're up episode 27. Like we're getting to be big boys now. You know, there's a maturity factor coming here now.
Yeah. So I mean, they're weekly, obviously. Do they do their podcast all year round, or when racing season starts, does it become less frequent?
No, they do it. No, they do it all year round. The difference is, of course, they do theirs live. They got more kahunas than we got, but they do theirs live, and yeah, it's a really great show to watch. So
we're gonna jump over and talk to Cote here in a minute, but I'm really glad you said that. So Roger and I talked about this 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know if anybody even noticed. I would assume some people probably did because I think I missed a couple of spots editing. When we had Grady Chandler on the podcast, my mic was not working. I didn't know it. I talked a bunch, had to edit it all out. So if someone would be interested in helping us produce a little bit while Roger and I get on here and look pretty and talk nice and all this stuff, please let me know. It's not something you necessarily have to do every week, but we could use a little bit of help having somebody kind of control things on the back end. It's not difficult. It's just talking and doing this at the same time is a little bit tricky. So if somebody be interested in that, let me know, and we'll figure it out. We do keep some weird hours, so that's something to consider. But
yeah, but that's a great point. There's so many great people in the league that help out and volunteer, and I'm sure there's a few people out there that want to dabble in this stuff or have dabbled in this stuff, and here's an opportunity. I think we're pretty easy to get along with here, so it's not like a high pressure job, but it would be a great learning experience, and sure would help. That unless you don't want to ever hear Preston and let him go with Mike Butte as Mike or whatever, but I'm sure people would rather be mine, but. That's another story.
Oh, all I'll say is it's a great thing to put on your resume. So whatever.
There you go.
Anyway, let's jump over here and talk to Chad. He's a fun guy and winner of our first 305 Hometown Heroes event tonight. So
the Pink Flyer.
The Pink Flyer. So let's talk to the Pink Flyer now.
And we're here with an original Ohsweken Posse member. And that may not mean a lot to a lot of you, but that precedes not only the G-Force Racing Leagues, but it precedes the Ohsweken Outlaws. So Chad was one of the original guys in iRacing I got hooked up with, and I hate to say this. This is this will be taken the wrong way, but the first time I met Chad was underneath the bleachers at Ohsweken. So
that's right. Yep.
Yeah. So welcome aboard, buddy, and welcome back to the track. You've been missing a lot lately, and it's good to see you back on the track again.
Yeah, it is good to be back. I had PC issues there for a while.
Yep.
Talked to Preston about video cards and whatnot, so I dealt with that. But yeah, back when we first met, that was on a Friday night at Ohsweken. I remember that.
So I know a particular tall glass of water that might be a little jealous. Just saying. It's a throwback to last week.
Yeah. So go back. I'm trying to remember how we first got. Did Rivals put on some races or something? Like, how did you meet Jeff Laro?
I first met you running 305s when I very first got into iRacing, and I was running a lot, and so were you, and you were always there, and we just started talking, and then we realized we went to the same track.
Did you get one? So I used to do a bunch of Dylan Westbrook's paints. I had him on Trading Paints, and maybe you grabbed one of those.
I did grab one, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's how we got hooked up.
Absolutely.
And Jeff Laro still runs one of those 2-year-old paints.
The orange and white one. Yep.
Yeah, the old Dylan, which is good because you can always see where Flaro is on the track with the orange. So it was good. But it was you, me, Greg Voidell, and Jeff Flaro, and we were known as the Ohsweken Posse. And
we were.
That was before the league started and everything. So Chad's been around right from day one, well, pre-day one. A proud member of the Burger Barn lunch crew that we got together a few times.
Yep.
And so a dominant force in that pink flyer. And so how did that pink car come about?
Blake made me the wrap, and it was, I believe, for the first season that we ran G-Force, and I wanted a nickname, and Blake was like, Pink Flyer. I'm like, you know what? The car's pink? Sure, why not? And it's just been that way for the last probably year and a half.
Yeah, and actually, you mentioned Blake Nutley Butler, who was also towards the tail end of the posse. I think was one of them, and was an original member. We haven't seen him around too much. He's a young guy with a girlfriend and all that stuff. So that sort of and starting a career too. So that takes away from him. But Blake was a good guy. But yeah, so you've been the Pink Flyer for a while now, and you were a Renegade, and then missed too many races and got moved down. Then you were down the Raiders, and you would run the ladder, and so now you're back
in Rebels. Are you? Rebels.
You are, yeah, Rebels. So you've only got one step to make, and so we just got off the track. So tonight, I kind of pumped up. Hometown Heroes. We just it just finished. This is Wednesday night when we're recording, and Chad was out running all 3 races. And no, you missed the midget one.
Yeah.
But so what were your thoughts on tonight?
Outstanding. I'm like speechless, to be honest with you. I went and watched the midget broadcast, and that was outstanding. The 305 race, I thought, of the 3 was the race that was the best one. It was clean racing in the 305s. It was great. Like, there was give and take all around the track, but as a whole, like I said when I got interviewed during the race, it was a last minute thing for me to run this, because I really wasn't going to, because I didn't have the midgets and time, 7 and 9. I wasn't sure, but now I can say I'm glad that I ran it.
Of course, we had a previous conversation, Preston, and he's one of the guys who ran in the front, so he would say he was pretty glad he ran it. That was kind of like Lane Snook tonight, who won 2 of the features, and in his interview, like first time he'd ever been driven a midget or a 410 at Cedar Lake, and he won both races, and what do you think about your run? Oh, it's pretty good. Are you kidding me? Like, and this is a fixed 410, and he still, he pulled away. It's, the kid's got skill. He proved it tonight with the fixed sets, I think. But it was kind of funny. But the 305, I gotta agree. Like, I know before the broadcast, Joe was saying, he was familiar with the 305s. The most I've heard of them, nobody likes to run them because, it's just a train, right? And I think a lot of us don't like to run them because it's a train. The difference tonight was we carried the track over from practice. So it was pretty slick, and that separates the men from the boys, and it made for some, I think, some really good racing.
Yeah, to me, that's when the 305s get really, really good, and you're not going to find it in the officials. And I think a lot of people base their opinion on the 305s from the officials. But if you can find a series that runs fixed or non-fixed, it doesn't really matter. 305s that do carry it over all the way through. By the time you get to a feature, it slicks off enough to where it's racy. And that's the big difference. Like we were talking, maybe it was with the team, or I don't remember. The 410s are racy out of the gate. Because, you could slip up at any given time. You can spin tires on a tacky track. But in the 305s, they really start to come into their own when the track's slicking off.
Yeah, and kudos, I know we're supposed to be interviewing Chad here, but kudos to everybody that showed up, because that contributed too. Like, there's 32 cars, I think, for the 305s, which contributed to the slicking that track off and making it real racy. And
absolutely.
And I wish that would have been well, I'm not eligible, but I wish that would have been the pick the podium, because I had Cote pegged right from the beginning and spotted him coming up the outside. So that was it was a great race between Barker, another old guy from around, and I think it was Moore Senior, one of the Moores. I can't remember who it was. I think it was, and they went like flag to flag fighting it out. But then 2 laps to go, here comes the kid with the pink flyer up on high riding, and it was a 3-way dogfight right to the end. Can you take us through a couple of those last laps?
Well, the last caution that came out, I was just passing on the top for third, and it came out, and I kind of said to myself, like, I think that was my shot to get the podium, because at that point, running fourth, all I wanted was the podium. I was there. And then the restart happened, and they just kept battling on the bottom. And it just left me at the top, and no one else was up there. Even about, say, 10 laps before that. Everyone was down, bottom or middle, and I'm like, well, and Roger knows I love the top. That's my happy place. So I just sent it up there, and I got about half throttle, and the car was really moving, and I was like, okay. Last caution came out, and I was like, well, I got 4 laps to do this. 2 went by, and I was like, okay. And all of a sudden, coming out of 4, I got a run. And I was like, oh, this is coming. And I run in VR, I took a little peek, and they were battling. And I hit the run coming out of 2. And as soon as I passed them, I was like, all right, white flag. And now I'm shaking while I'm driving. And the whole time I'm going, don't wreck. Because I could still hear my spotter telling me that they're down there. And crossed the line, and my wife was holding my son, and I gave out like a, oh yeah. And I'm like, sorry, I hope he wasn't sleeping. Like, but I was so excited to win that race, because like I ran my butt off on the top.
Yeah, no, that was an excellent run. But yeah, it was a great night, that's for sure. So I guess you're only going to be with us every other week, from the sounds of it, because of work.
Due to work. Yeah, I'm every other week, days and afternoons. So when I do work days, I try to get in as many league races as possible.
So are you when you work afternoons or whatever it is you work, could you run the matinee races, or are they too late?
No, I start at 2.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I know. There's a couple that they've come up on my phone, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could run this one, especially the pavement stuff. Yeah,
we've just added a whole bunch of new divisions, and we had the jumpy trucks today, and that was sort of crazy, but it's all fun. So what nights you plan on running this season then?
Monday for sure. I'm going to actually start to get into the mods as well. I haven't really put any laps in them at all. I bought them for a friend of mine. He's just getting into this, so. But I've watched all like league races from other leagues, and they put on some shows, those cars. There's no doubt about it. Yep,
for sure. We just finished that 150 lapper for Grady, and there was some spectacular racing in there. Those guys, what was it, three or 5 cautions and 150 laps? I can't remember. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Maybe it was more than that, but it averaged like 15 laps per caution or something.
We got to a lap like 120 and had 3 cautions. I mean, couldn't believe it. I was so worn out after that race. It was unbelievable. Because I was expecting tons of cautions. You get the break, you kind of untense a little bit. But that didn't happen at all.
Yeah, I ran the 75 lapper we did at Eldora a couple of seasons ago. And I was sore after that, and I was watching that broadcast at work on my phone, and I was like, these guys just did 150 laps. Like, are they insane? Like, that's a long time, and the way the track probably just wore itself out.
If you haven't driven those cars much either, they're a handful. Like, your arms would be falling off. Because I went and watched the replay, and those cars were bouncing so bad the last few laps. I don't know how those guys kept it under control. It's just, we got some amazing drivers in the league.
Oh, we do. We over the last maybe 3 seasons, I'll say, like even like Preston and Shorty from the beginning when they came in, seeing those guys improve is great, and that shows how our tiered system actually works. Right?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And the A divisions are just excellent to watch. I watched the broadcast, and you can see so many incidents where in a lower division it would be a caution, but these guys, they can recover. So part of it is they back off, but they can recover out of their, if the guy tags them on the wheel, where in lower division, the guy would be in the wall, he miraculously can keep it under control. So I think that it's just not the driving of the racing skill, but it's that, I don't know how I'd call it different, but it's the driving skill of the drivers for sure. I'm sure
it's almost like just a little racing IQ, right? So you know when to back off, when to straighten up the car the right way. It comes with experience more than anything, but
seat time.
Yeah, seat time makes all the difference, and I'll tell you, and Cote, I'll be the first to admit I've improved tenfold from the time I started running with the league, and I've been iRacing for close to 10 years now, and so the 90% of my improvement has been in the last year and a half. But it's mostly seat time, but running against guys that are better than you, following them through the corners, watching them back off to avoid hitting somebody, those all like kind of subconsciously stick in your mind, and I think you pull those things in and you start to develop those habits as well. And a lot of that stuff really is just habitual.
Yeah, I've noticed that too as well, especially like I'll go back some weeks and watch broadcasts and see how Brandon ran, say at a track like Fairbury. Where's he going? Goldner, like that, the whole team on that side, they're good and they're fast. So I'll go back and I'll watch, catch the in-car view sometimes, you know what I mean? And to me, that's how I've tried to develop my driving as well. Because I don't run the bottom at any track. Knoxville especially, like I'm at the top, send it, and now I've, over the last maybe couple of weeks, started to run the bottom at tracks, and I'm like, why didn't I do this before?
Interesting. So you're a good person to ask too. I know we might be repeating ourselves a little bit, but you've missed 2 seasons basically. I mean, you showed up enough to stay in the league.
Yeah.
But you've missed a couple seasons. So how much difference have you seen since you come back?
Oh, it's crazy. The guys like Preston, Shorty, a little bit of myself, you making the Renegades features a bunch of times when I've seen it. I get pretty pumped up for you when you do make it through. but the league as a whole has drastically improved over the course of the seasons, and it's great to see because now it's starting to reflect that in the Rebels and Renegades races, where you're not getting so many incidences, and you're aware of what some guys are doing, especially if you've ran a lot of laps with them, especially in the Renegades, right? You're like Preston was saying, it's like awareness. Okay, Schulte's going to slide me, and I know it's coming, so now I know I have to lay out and turn it back down on him, and I would have to assume he's going to expect it right back, and he's already planning for that move to happen.
And even in the lower divisions too as well. I mean, I start a race and I'm on the grid. I'm looking around to see who's with me because I know all their tendencies. That's the benefit of a league, is the guys that you're racing with, and the guys they'll set more than said it, and then other guys who they're going to give you space, and they're going to race you hard, but they're not going to knock you out, and that's the majority for sure. But it is good because you get to know it's not just a crapshoot, and it works really well that way. So you're looking at doing the dirt modifies, and I'm taking you'll be out for our Wednesday night Hometown Heroes as much as you can.
Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna try my hand at them.
Yeah,
at Cedar Lake, like I said in the interview tonight, that was the most laps I put down. at Cedar Lake since I bought it. So going there in a modified is going to be a little bit different. But
and we're talking in the booth, and I think it's from a couple of interviews. Basically, I thought, you know what, it is a good track to start with because people have got. It's not like going to Knoxville. Everybody's driven a million laps at Knoxville. You know, Cedar Lake, which I just like. I don't know what you think. Like it was between that and Lernerville, but Chad, you can relate to. It's very homey and much reminiscent of. Stand up and show us your shirt there, because I'm seeing there it is, baby, and the whole hometown heroes thing is just it's the I wish they had Ohsweken on, but the Cedar Lake is very much and not just Ohsweken. It's just like that hometown track that you see in all over North America.
Yep. I go to multiple tracks, and it does absolutely remind me of the Merrittvilles and the Humberstones. And Ohsweken especially, so absolutely.
I was talking to Terry about it, and for whatever, one of my favorite things about it, and it's a little bit different than the other tracks, is that you enter the track on the backstretch, and there's something to that when you're pulling on the track and you're on the gas right away, right? I mean, you just stomp it, and for whatever reason, like just it kind of hypes me up a little bit. You're running out for qualifying. There's no like prep time. In fact, I almost made a mistake in the 410s. Being a fixed setup, I pull out on the track going, and I realize my wing's still all the way back because that's the fixed setup has the wing all the way back. So I blew my first lap trying to get the wing forward so I could get as much speed as I could. And but yeah, it's definitely. I mean, it's kind of a generic track in some ways, but it's just got all these little like things that remind you of tracks you've been to.
Well, absolutely, yeah. And running the top there is nothing like I've ever ran before. If you don't enter it correctly, you're going over.
Yeah,
and it's very distinct. And I've seen it a couple of times tonight, and I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'll ask now because I didn't see it. So it was in the I think maybe the first heat of the 305 race, and I watched Lane go over the wall. Did he hit the wall or did he glitch out or something happened? But I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think P2 kind of checked up going to the top, and I don't think Lane had anywhere to go because I was watching it and I was like, oh, there goes Snook back to the pits over the wall, and he was gone, and I was like, oh, and it's a bummer too when you see that happen, right? Especially early in your night because he qualified quick, so. But yeah, I kind of chuckled. I won't lie, but like.
Well, the wreck was wild. The wreck was wild.
There was a wild wreck in midgets tonight in the one heat. I think half the field got taken out. But other than that, the racing was, I thought, the midgets are a hard car to handle. And I thought there might be a lot of guys show up with little experience in midgets. But I think it was mostly the midget division showed up who have matured immensely in the 2 seasons we've been running them. And I thought it was a great race. They put on a great show. And you got to get a midget, buddy.
I know, I've contemplated it, and I was saying to Preston earlier, they look like they're a ball to drive.
Oh, they're a ball if you can't drive them. So, what else do you run? I know you're a wing sprint guy, and now you're talking about dirt
really. But 360s and 410s.
So, no pro late models or nothing like that?
Nope. Tried it, can't do it. Not my thing.
How about UMPs?
I think I've turned 4 laps in that car, and I was like, yep, nope, can't do that either. And a lot of it depends on the setup as well. If you're running the iRacing one, it makes it tough, right? But if you can get some help in them and learn how to drive them. But no, since I got on iRacing, it's sprint cars.
Well, what about NASCAR, though? You were talking about our NASCAR races.
Yeah, the Cup cars, I dabble in them a little bit because I don't find them too hard. Now, I haven't ran any of the small tracks where the brake is required because I don't run a brake. Like, I don't use it. It's just there because it has to be. But I've also started to learn now, even tonight, in the 410, if you're running the middle, get on the brake a little bit. It keeps the car set, and it helps it roll through. And why am I not doing this before? I'm just stubborn. That's the honest truth. I'll just try to throttle it through, and I'm like, oh, sideways. Oh, yeah, T-bone. That's my fault.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'm going to lead into the question that I ask everybody that comes on here, and I don't know if you watch this regularly or not, but all of our drivers, I ask, who is your biggest rival within our league?
I don't know. I wouldn't call it a rival, but there's guys that I'll try to go out and beat when I'm able to race. There's a couple. Shorty's one of them because he's drastically improved, and I talked to Shorty a lot. And at Lernerville this week, I started first and he started fourth in the heat, and I'm like, okay, if I can get out there, I might have a chance. And then I tried to run the middle of the track all the way through, and my spotter comes outside. I'm like, yeah, Shorty, and there he went, and that was that. Shorty, Goldner as well, because he's from the original for the most part, but he's fat, like he is fat.
Yeah.
But no rivals, but there are guys that yourself, Preston. I'm like, yeah, okay. Somewhere like Volusia, I know you're real good at Volusia. I'm like, okay, if I can get out ahead Preston, or be on his tail, I might be all right. But you run the bottom and I don't, and then you're gone, and I'm not.
Well, so and I think that's probably the kind of the question I'm asking too. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm not asking somebody you don't get along with or that you don't like racing against, but they're the markers you base your performance against, and that's exactly what you're talking about. So I think those are good answers and a little less cop out than some of the answers we get. So well done.
Yeah. So my question is your greatest iRacing moment.
Would be my first podium, probably maybe 3 or 4, 5 seasons ago at Eldora. I ran out. I was going to run out of fuel, and a caution came out late because I believe it was maybe Schultz wrecked, or it could have been after that. And I had to go to the bottom in 3 and 4, and Shorty threw a slider. I can't remember on who it was, and I had no choice but to run the bottom. And I was like, well, run the bottom, come across the start-finish line, out of fuel. I had to get pushed to the podium picture.
I remember that.
That would be that one. This one tonight probably is right behind it. But that my first podium in the league was the big one for me.
That's awesome. It's been great having you on because I've been wanting to have you on for a long time, and we go back quite a ways. And
we do go way back. Yeah.
Yeah. And buddy, the schedule just got released.
I know.
Yeah, so hopefully things can happen. I'm on a waiting list now for the needle there, and
right.
So things are going in the right direction. And boy, I can. And this whole Knights of Thunder thing that the new series coming. We'll have to get a few of the boys south of the border up to see some of those. So
absolutely, like the Summer Nationals in September. I've already checked that one on the calendar. That's if we can go. That's one I'll be attending because I went. It would have been 2 years ago now.
Yep.
And I went both days. We had we met at Burger Barn that week.
Yeah. Well, that was with Tony Stewart and
yes, and Rico
and
Christopher Bell. Yep.
Yeah. That was so. Can't wait.
Oh, it's exciting. And then I would love to get out to like the King's Royal at Eldora, Knoxville Nationals. There's a couple of tracks that I have on my bucket list.
Yep.
But the first one would be the Knoxville Nationals. That track, when I watch it, I'm in awe of it because the way these guys drive those cars, like I think it's great on iRacing. I can only imagine what these guys feel like doing it in real life because they make it look easy. They do. I'm not going to lie. The way they throw sliders and cross each other over, for 4, 5, 6, 7 laps before it settles down, and it's just that is my favorite track on the service. And I'll say in real life, even though I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's well, I was supposed to be there last year. See, Dylan was going to be racing there, and we were going to go down, but didn't happen. But hopefully this season for sure. And it's but I can't wait and get to see. I haven't seen you in a couple of years, I guess now. So
I missed the last lunch meet. I was working, and I was a little bummed out about it, but we'll have to set something up eventually down the road. And
as soon as
all settles down. Get Preston down and get the whole C2C boys down.
Oh yeah, I want to get. I got one of those easy ups, and I want to get a banner made up. That G-Force Racing League, and just sit there. Just everybody's welcome to come by. And have a gathering place at Ohsweken or wherever we go.
Right. Yep.
Get all the locals together. So, anyways, I want to just thank you for coming on, man. It's been great, and we'll have to do this again. And it's just so good to see you back on the track with it. See the pink flyer out there. So
just keep it behind me. That's all I ask.
Yeah, there'll be a few tracks where I'll be behind.
Well, he represented himself well tonight. That's great. So welcome back, and we'll look forward to seeing you much more often.
Appreciate it, Chad.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was fun. Thank you for everything that you guys do for this league as well. You guys do a ton of work, and it sometimes might not be noticed, but the way you guys run your ship is outstanding. And for me, that's why I love running it. It sucks when I can't race it, but the work you guys have put in over the seasons is really starting to show now. And like for me, it's a thank you for everything that you guys do.
No, thanks, man.
We appreciate that.
And saying running a ship is true because there's a whole crew that runs the ship.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without everybody. So, welcome back, buddy. And, the whole Ohsweken Posse is back again because Flaro's in the league. He got in through the Unlimited, and he's been grandfathered in now. We've raised the limit back up to 2,500. So the whole posse. There was a race somewhere. Well, maybe you weren't there, but it's me, Boydell, and Flaro were, in a heat or something, like all beside each other. It's pretty, maybe we finished 1, 2, 3 in a heat. That's what it was. It was pretty cool. So anyways, welcome back, and I'll be chasing your tail tank. That doesn't sound very good, does it? That's like meeting under the bleacher.
Anyways. A lot of things have been exposed in this interview.
Anyways, buddy, it's great. And I said tonight you're from Welland, but I think you're actually from Niagara Falls now. You lived in Welland for a while, or what?
Born and raised. I work in the Falls, but yeah, I've lived in Welland my whole life.
Okay, I said you're a Welland boy, so there you go. So Bill Calder's a Welland boy, you know that, eh?
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, he spent his whole childhood. His dad was a cop there, so there you go. Way before your time, though, so you got nothing to worry about. Anyways, thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming on, and we'll chat again for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that was Chad Cote, who's been around for a long time, and Preston just got a history lesson on the Ohsweken Posse, and that was the beginning of my iRacing career, and racing with those guys and meeting them at the track for the first time, or at Burger Barn or whatever it was. Those are great memories. But it was good, and I got to talk about tonight. So we're just coming off of our first Hometown Heroes. Icon Sim Sports has been good enough to step up and sponsor that. What a night, buddy! As promoter, you're always like biting your nails or whatever, and like right now, I feel like a proud father, if you know what I mean. Like it's. You and me and John Hines been involved quite a bit, and others in developing this and coming up with the theme and the ideas, and really came to fruition tonight. And I was really thinking, we might have 16 305s and a dozen 410s, and like we guys did make the feature. Like we had every race tonight was over 30 car counts. And you were just alluding in a conversation offline here that the fourth most views of any broadcast we've ever done in the history of the G-Force Racing League, and it's just first night out.
Well, I'll correct the record just a little bit. It's the sixth most, and I was only looking at data that was on G-Force Esports. So it's been since we've switched, but that's still, considering how many races we broadcast last season alone, that's really saying something. And 2 of those were racing for Grady races that were above it. So really 4 is probably the right number if you're just considering weekly shows.
Yeah, and that doesn't include the iRacing views. I'm pretty sure we were on iRacing tonight. I didn't actually check it. So, and then Joe has his own set of followers, and I don't know about you. I think Joe knocked it out of the park tonight. He was. This is made for Joe. It's made. This kind of
he's a hometown guy.
Hometown guy, and I think he just lent a lot of flavor. A big shout out to the drivers. We had a great showing of cars, and some great racing, like better racing than I anticipated. Especially 410s, and you're getting 30 guys jumping in 410s, and the big names weren't there. So you think, oh, this could be, dicey, but they were good shows. I mean, there was some trouble at the back that you'd kind of expect, but it's only going to get better. And as people get used to this track, it's only going to get better, man.
Well, that's my thing. Like, and we're coming at it from a little bit different angles. Like, you helped on the broadcast. I watched the 305 broadcast or most of it, and the broadcast. You're right. It was fantastic. And if I recall, we actually started this idea a couple of seasons ago when Joe first started broadcasting with us, and we were talking about just the differences in some of our teams, where you have the guys that sound like they're on TV, and then Joe, who just has, like, he's the perfect your home track announcer, and we kind of started planting that seed right then. So this series really is tailor-made for Joe White, right? So it was perfect, and the broadcast was excellent. I don't know if it was on my end or something Joe's doing different. I also noticed the video quality seemed much improved as well, which was exciting. I mean, I was watching it on the TV, and we got a 4K TV in the living room, and it was like you're watching Flow Racing. Like it looked fantastic. The commentary was good. It was good give and take. But coming from the racing standpoint, now I ran midgets and I finished. I think I ended up 8th eventually, and that was fun. The 410s I finished like junk, but I can't wait to run again next week. Like I would if you told me we're doing it tomorrow, I'd be there. Because I'm really looking I'm going to go run the same track. I learned some stuff, so I'm going to, we're not doing setups, but I learned lines, where other guys are going to run, where the track's going to wear in, which that's the other thing. That's all going to change a little bit, right? Because the weather might be a little bit different. And guys might run different lines. You might see the bottom stay around longer or the top stay around longer. So I really like we're almost removing an element of strategy by staying at the same track every week, which again just levels the playing field even more. And it's just going to create, and by the end of the season, I think we're going to have a really, really intense competition. I would not be surprised unless Lane does what he did tonight and just stomps everybody every week. Yeah. But which I will not say is impossible, because it certainly is not. But I would not be surprised that if we get to week 13 or 12, where towards the end of the season, and you've got 4 or 5 guys going into championship night that are in contention, just because of the element of strategy that gets taken away a little bit. This is pure racing, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, even when your night doesn't go so well, it's still a lot of fun knowing that you're going to be back there again the following week against the same guys again.
Yeah, or there's 3 races, and a lot of guys ran them all. So, if you run into trouble in one, well, there's the next one. And I know that was a feeling of a few guys that have spoken up and said, I want to race more than one night a week. One race a night.
Right.
Like if you race on Monday night and you don't transfer, you're one and done. So this is an opportunity for everybody in the league, can run these races. And there needs to be a bit of it's a fun night. There needs to be an understanding that the skill levels are at 2 different ends. But you know what? If the skill levels were here before, I'm finding this league is getting like this, or maybe it's like this. On the camera, maybe, but it's getting it's the bottom is moving up towards the top, and everybody's getting better. And a case in point, I'll give a shout out right now to G-Man. G-Man ran I don't know if you saw the 305 race, but Gary he qualified in his heat. He was like racing with Cote, for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
And, he has jumped up so much in the last few weeks in skill sets. And, we were talking offline where I know it was retreads, but we were running the retreads, and there's some good drivers in there. And him and I were fighting for the lead, but we were trading slide jobs. It was before, like Gary, when he came in and had trouble keeping a line, and now he doesn't just keep a line, but like we were trading slide jobs. So I was the one that screwed up, and I did a bad slide job that took him out, which was bad. But he did great tonight, and there was a lot of that. There was a lot of guys, who were in the lower levels, but they drove extremely well. It was a great night. thoroughly enjoyed it.
So I'm going to tell a little story, and I'm hoping G-Man doesn't get upset with me for this. But I was doing something with Eli, and just kind of it was the first heat I think he was in. So I was just kind of like half paying attention because the racing kind of hadn't started yet. And I was looking at the lineup before you had started reading it, and I saw all the names starting to pop up as they were gridding. And I saw Taylor, and I was like, oh, look, Tom Taylor, he's starting towards the front. And didn't really think anything of it. And then, because I think he started first or second. And then Roger starts reading the lineup off, and then it was Gary Taylor. And I was like, well, daggone it. And then he got out there and ran, and, I mean, he was running at the front. And it was cool. It was really cool, and it was pretty funny too because it caught me off guard, and I was just kind of sitting there feeling bad, like I didn't give him enough credit, so it was kind of funny.
Well, hey, I might be in trouble here too, but like I'm reading through the lineup, and I was like, I'm looking at the cars as I'm reading the lineup. There's Gary sitting like P4 or P3, whatever, starting at right. Yeah. So I'm thinking, way to go, Gary! Like and he didn't. He ran. I think he ran into trouble in the feature, but like he transferred. He didn't have to go to the B main,
right?
And it was great to see. So there's a lot of guys like that are everybody's improving their skill sets, and it was good. And Connor Ross, a huge, massive shout out to Connor. Connor volunteered to come on and do a few driver interviews, but it became very obvious to me tonight, before the night was over, that Connor needs to be helping out with the color, not me. Like we had a plan of, we were going to be talking back and forth off of Discord. We didn't get it set up in time, so I couldn't really convey to him. Connor, talk more. You jump in, because his analysis or commentary was much more intelligent than mine. I don't know if there's a better way of putting it, but it was more intuitive, and I thought Connor did a great for first night out. He started out admitting a few weeks ago, and it was rough the first night. It's rough for everybody the first. Like he's improved night and day on his admitting, but like tonight, like he's a chip off the old block from his old man because he did. And I think I said on the broadcast that it struck me for the first time. Like he had some inflections and stuff. And I thought it was his dad I was listening to, So now kudos to him. He brought a way more element to the broadcast than I anticipated. I thought he would do good, but like he excelled. He had some great comments, and we're going to leverage that going forward. So we're learning as we go. The Pick the Podium challenge. Nobody won tonight. I'm pretty sure. I got to go over it in like detail just to make sure I'm not wrong. But I don't think any of the people that submitted, we had a significant number submit, won. So now the pot goes to $20. Like who knows if people can't pick it? Lanes. All they had to do was pick Lane Snook, right? We said we would go down to let's start. You got to pick it. If you pick it in order, you're the winner. And we said even if you just pick the winner, that's sort of the last step before we say forget it. Nobody picked Lane Snook to win, which. I bet you there's going to be about 5 or 6 people at least, if not more, pick a Lane Snook next week, at least to finish first, because that's going to be a good chance of getting the gift card. So, anyways, we got plans to do all sorts of more wacky stuff, and if anybody has ideas, throw them at us, because we're this is a clean slate, a green field. I don't think anybody else is doing it, and we're planning a demolition derby now. We don't quite know how to pull it off. I've got a little research to do on that, but it's a good night. It's a fun night, I thought, and I hope that was everybody's watching that took part. I hope that was your reaction to. It was just a fun night. It was a great a great start and a great event, and it's only going to get better.
Well, I can tell you again, it's one night, and I ran 2 races, but the mindset is definitely there, and it's a little bit different than our Monday nights. If I had finished like I did in the 410s tonight on a Monday night, I'd have probably been in a kind of a bad mood, But yeah. It wasn't. I still had a great time. Guys are goofing around. We had fun. I'd love to finish better, but it was a good time. Like guys got out and had a good time, and I did like the transition. We'll have a different one next week, but I didn't run 305s, but I ran midgets and then the 410s, and it felt like a polar difference. The cars handle completely different. It's just totally different, and that made it fun too, right? Because you got a lot of the same guys jumping out of that car into 410s, and I think you saw that a little bit too. Like early on, especially in practice, guys were slamming the outside walls. It's just flying around, and but everybody settled in. We did have probably a few more cautions than we would have liked, but again, that's one of those things that being at the same track every week with the same car and the same setup, it's going to get better and better. And I would be willing to bet that we have a couple of races before the end of the season that go flag to flag, no cautions at all as things settle in. And but I mean, it was a ton of fun. And I have no idea what it's like to actually be a promoter at a racetrack. It's not anything I've even been close to or been part of. But I gotta imagine the way we're doing this now has got to be closer than what we've done before, having different nights, throwback night, first responder night, those kind of things, and that makes it fun for me too. Maybe it's just on our end, what we're doing, but it just adds a different element of there's something different every week, even if it's the same track. The event is slightly different, and that makes it fun too.
Well, and it gives you an appreciation for what the guys up at Ohsweken do. That all the planning for we're just doing like a surface thing, but they're doing like a full night, real night. That's 6,000 fans or whatever, and it gives you an appreciation for everything involved in putting a show together. I mean, that's what it is. But we've got a few guys in the background helping out here, and what we are looking for though, every night is going to be a special night. We're not sure yet which week next week will be. The legends will be in town, so that one there, you'll go from the 305s to slower even, and then you'll jump into the 410. So that could be a big change. And those legends are not easy to drive. So I'm hoping it's not going to be a shit show or whatever. But it takes a skill to drive those things. It's such a short wheelbase, but they should be fun. But so every night's going to be a special night. We talked about that before. Veterans Night, First Responders Night, Mother's Night, or Ladies Night, and all that stuff. But what we're looking for is sponsors for all of those. So, for example, one could be Gambler Motorsports. John Hines already, volunteered to buy gift cards and stuff. So what we're looking there for those nights is just somebody to sponsor those nights with probably like $20 or something, and that everything goes back. So it'll just be for gift cards and promotions, so all sorts of promotions. So we've got to pick the podium, but we want to come up with some other stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. And again, and keeping it different is the main thing, right? So we want to try to avoid doing the same thing every week. So that's why when Roger says we want your ideas, it's not because we don't have them, but it's because we want to come up with the most appealing stuff. We want to keep it different and fresh and be able to promote those things. So I think the Pick the Podium Challenge is a lot of fun. I'm curious to see, and I'm assuming we probably won't release the information, but I think, well, maybe at the end of the season we can give percentages of guys that got picked for certain positions or something like that, just to see who the favorites were, because I'm curious about it myself. So it'll be kind of a fun. I like statistics if you haven't figured that out by now, so it'd be cool.
Yeah, so it's so let me just grab something here. So my wife has her own little business here. She does all these huggables. This isn't the one, but the one night's going to be Kids Night coming up to Easter, and these things we will be not raffling off, but having a draw, and some kid will win one of these huggables. So it's stuff like that. Anything off the wall that we can do, and to make things exciting. So I'm still kind of pumped. It couldn't have gone better. We can get better. We can get way better. But out the gate, we didn't trip and fall on our face. That's for sure. So, and Cedar Lake is just a perfect track for so many different reasons. But there's multiple lanes in all the races. That really helped the racing too, I think. So
yeah.
it's yeah, it's cool.
Well, that was actually one thing that the track definitely slicked off a lot for the 410s to the point where like you're really, I mean, it was all throttle control, and it really at 410s that's pretty standard, but it was unlimited lanes at the end. It was so slick that you just had to pick what part of the slick you wanted to drive through. Like, I mean, you just go where they ain't, right? You know, that was the thing. So it was fun. I was, I was a lap down or a couple laps down, but I was still battling. I know Greg Boydell was back there and Kevin Fry and stuff. So we were back there. They might have been a little annoyed at me being a couple laps down and in their way. But we were racing, and that was the thing. Like, we'd switch lines, and you could, I mean, I hate to say it, you could run just about anywhere. It didn't mean you're going to do a good job at it, but you just it was fun. I really enjoyed it too. As far as I don't think maybe we had the same opinion of where the car counts would be. I also thought they were higher though than I expected, but I didn't expect to enjoy the racing as much as I did, as much as it was flicked off and everything. So I think we're both just kind of over the moon with how things went.
Yeah.
And I do think it just goes up from here. There's no reason to think that things are going to deteriorate. So it's very encouraging. And, we got a lot of other good stuff going on, too. We got new season that just started.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Like, we could talk about this all night long, but we need to move on to other stuff because there's so much going on with the league right now.
Yep.
And what were you going to – you take it first.
Well, first off, I want to shout out my teammate because, I can do that. John Short won a big race, went flag to flag or just about flag to flag at Lernerville. And it was funny. He told me before the race or we were kind of talking in our team chat about, and he was just talking. He's mentioned something about how he's just going to run the top, and Terry and I both. I'm one of those guys that'll do both, right? I just run where I'm more comfortable. A lot of tracks that's up top, a lot of tracks that's at the bottom. It just varies. Terry wants to run the bottom no matter what. He's. I'm pretty sure he's emailed iRacing support to ask for lower gears several times just so he can run less gears and run even lower. I don't know. But John was talking about how he's just going to go rip the lip and do what he can. And he does run Lernerville really well. I know it's his favorite track. And so I didn't get to see it because I was out of town. And actually I was planning on watching the replay tonight. But yeah, I mean, I know I was super excited. I was messaging him after the fact, and I was in a hotel room when I found out I'd just gotten there, pumped up beyond belief. So shout out to him. I understand the race went really well. I think Rebels and Raiders maybe did too. I didn't get to hear much about those.
Yeah, I'd say all the racing was good. There's a few Bandy boys not there, but there were Bandy boys there. So the good thing, again, from a promoter perspective, because, I mean, the Bandy guys are all awesome drivers, and it's nothing against them. But it was from a promotional, the top 10 was like, names you haven't seen in the top 10 before. So it was all good racing. I hope all the Bandy guys do come back. I would hate that they're not going to come back, and I think they just were somewhere else that night, but the racing was really, really good, and no, I think that the league is really, really healthy right now. I really, really think it's healthy. We've had I talk all the time, so anything else you want to mention before I
no
another spiel?
No, not at all. I think the new setup we've got, I personally, from a personal standpoint, having Tuesday night off was great. Wednesday. I, again, was out of town, so didn't keep up with a lot of stuff anyway, so it worked out well for me. But Wednesday morning, I looked, and we had no messages at all from our executive committee, so I'm wagering that pretty much everybody else enjoyed it as well. But I had to kind of correct the record because I had to ask, like, what's going on, or is everything okay? It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was Tuesday night. My wife says to me, "When are you going downstairs?" And I said, "I'm not." It was kind of like,
yeah.
It was a lot of people wouldn't understand this, but it is good to have a night off. It's a 7-day-a-week operation.
It absolutely is.
Have a day off, especially after pulling all this stuff together, like you, me, Shorty, and everybody. But I mean, particularly going through division lists and all that sort of stuff. It's been a lot of work, but I think we're there. We finally released the dirt modifieds. And the one thing I'm concerned about with the dirt modifieds is all the unlimited guys. I mean, I've sent notes out from the league site. I've sent notes out from the our announcements from our website. I've made announcements on Facebook. They got to join Outlaws, and there's so many outstanding invites out there. Like I don't know what's going on, but Dirt Modifieds run tomorrow night, so we're gonna find. There's probably gonna be a scramble. Like I can't find the race. Well, yeah, because you haven't been reading the notes and switched over. But that's a big change. But I think it's for the better going forward.
I'm really excited for the broadcasted race tomorrow, when it's the 358s and big blocks. Now, I'm wondering if anybody picks the 358, but Lernerville's a nice small track, so it very well could be beneficial to go with the 358 over the big block. And I'm really curious to see how that goes. Now, I don't run that division, but I'm planning on watching the broadcast. So I'm really curious to see if anybody, for one, goes with the 358. Because I guess there's no point in me selling it now because this is going to air after the fact. But if you haven't run it, that's the big difference in our A division of the dirt modifieds this year is you can run the big block modified, which on the larger tracks you're probably going to want it if you want to have a shot at the win. But on the smaller tracks, I mean, in any race, you're able to run big blocks or 358s. You choose the car you want to run. And I think it's going to be really interesting at some of the bull rings we show up at what guys choose to run. And it'll be cool. It'll be a lot of fun.
Well, and we had Jeff Barker on last week talking about that, that it's going to depend on the track. The other part, for a guy like me, if I transferred, I might stick with the 358. I know the car. I know I'm not going to win. I just want to run consistent, and but so everybody's got that choice. But it's like Jeff said, like an individual may pick a 358 one week and a big block the next, depending on what track. So
that's right.
It's going to be interesting, and I think the two divisions, we're going to have great car counts. I think for that as well for both divisions. So it's going to be very competitive, and I think after a season we've got people slotted now. I mean, you, me, and Shorty spent quite a bit of time reviewing all of that, and we had data finally. You and I are data freaks.
Yeah.
We had data to make decisions on, so it's based on, I think, good data. So that'll only get better as time goes on.
Yeah. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm an extremely analytical person. So all that stuff comes down to data.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we've had a bunch of other events. I mean, yeah, you've been away a bit, but this week we had our first super late model race. We went to South Boston. We had a bit of a panic, and that's on me. Jeff Barker is running all those. We were going to go to Charlotte, but some guy said the car was tapping out, like it. So anyways, we changed the track. I changed it last minute. But we went South Boston, fun race, lot more power than the street stocks, which is nice. But almost too much power at South Boston.
No, that's a small track. It's a tight one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to running that car. It's a fun car, and we had a good turnout. And then let's see, that was Tuesday, and this afternoon, we ran the jumpy trucks. I mean, that's what we're going to call them from now on. We're talking the Lucas Oil Pro Lights. So we're using the Pro Light 2 because it's free. We've pegged people with spending enough money on tracks, etc. And we're also using some of the free tracks. So we were at Charlotte today, the Rallycross. The downside is, and it wasn't an issue today because it's a matinee race, don't forget, but you're only limited to 16 drivers, and only 10 make the feature because of that format for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a free track, so we're trying to. The plan there is we've got a lot of free tracks like that, and we're intermingling the Wild West and
Crandon and all those.
Crandon, so people don't have to buy everything right away. So we'll filter them in. But it was very. I've driven them on their normal tracks, the Wild West or whatever it's called, and they're fun. I've done the Rallycross with the Beetle only at Daytona, so and I had trouble getting in the session. first of all, I was going into. I waited till the last minute because I thought if 16 guys show up, I'm going to go watch. You know, I don't want to take somebody's spot away. But I think we had 12, 14. Anyways, so I just got in. I think I didn't even get a practice lap in before qualifying. Really, I know G-Man too. We were struggling. It was a real struggle to handle that car. But by the end of the races, it was fun. You know, and plus I was at the back. You know, Barker and that is up the front. But that's going to be a fun league to drive. And what else we got coming up?
Well, let me ask you a question about that, just for my own curiosity. Do you guys run a heat race format in the jumpy trucks?
Yeah. So there's heats. You got to run one joke. No, it was two. You had to run 2 Joker laps.
Gotcha.
So but in the case of Charlotte, the Joker lap is longer.
Right.
So you know, I always thought they were shorter, but they're not. You had to.
It just depends on the track. Yeah, it varies. Yeah.
So it was kind of interesting. I was chasing Bixler and Maurer, and a couple times they took the Joker lap. So I thought I'm staying on the main one so I can get in front of them.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
And that didn't last long, but at least I was in front of them. But it was no, we had a real good time. So I think we got some new divisions, and you know, the Cup Series is awesome on Saturday.
Yep.
We're getting good car counts and good clean racing for the most part. Congratulations to you, by the way, with you know, your podium there last week.
Yeah, you know, I was pretty. I wasn't upset about it, but I was bummed out. The week prior, I had it pretty well figured out. I'm a strategy guy. If we ever get to the point where we're running races that are twice as long, I told Joe, I'll back out and I'll just crew for you. Like, I enjoy that just as much as the race.
It's data.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so the strategy of it all is so much fun. And so the week prior, where were we? Las Vegas. And so I had the fuel strategy pretty well planned out, and I told Joe exactly when we wanted to pit. And so we were headed down the pits. He was probably 4 or 5 spots in front of me at the time. I had gotten involved in a wreck, and so I was kind of working my way from the back. But I had the strategy figured out. So I told Joe, I was like, all right, we're going in next lap. He goes down, and I'm coming down the pit lane, and he was slowed up, and I got nervous I was going to nail him, and I got on the brakes too hard and looped the car, and I tried to pull it in the pits, and I went around the wrong side of the outside of the commitment cone and got myself a 40-second penalty, and Joe plants the car on the podium, and I think he was like 9th or 10th when he pitted, so it was definitely the right strategy, and I just kind of blew it. So I was really bummed about that. So Phoenix is not one of my better tracks. I've been struggling with tire wear, right? That's my, because I'm used to running dirt and there's no tire wear, and I wish there were, but I just haven't really run asphalt in a long time, or at least anything that tire wear matters. And so I've been struggling with that. So I'd practiced a little bit, practiced backing up my corners, trying to save my tires. And I really had it down at Phoenix, and I just kept running. I ran towards the front most of the race, and it just kind of panned out. So I was pretty pumped. I was in contention for the win. Again, I did it on strategy, though. Like, I pitted well before everybody else, knowing that they would still have to pit. And so I restarted the race with like 4 or 5 laps to go in the lead. But Dan McLaren was behind me. There was somebody that hadn't pitted either, and I was really hoping they would hold Dan off for another lap or two, because I could have won then, but Dan just got up to me too quick, and I couldn't hold him off. But you know what? And as competitive as those races have been, and the fixed setups and everything, a P2 is as good as a win. Like, I would have been happy with the top 10, you know. So they've been tons of fun. And again, and the strategy has really come into play. Phoenix, we had a little bit more. We had a few more cautions, but in all of the races previous that we've run, including some of the test races we did, we were running. Everybody was running well enough that we were getting to the point where we were having to do green flag pit stops, which is just another level of intrigue that comes into it. So it's been great. I can't encourage you enough, even if you're not real skilled in the NASCAR stuff, get out there and give it a shot, because there's a handful of other guys that haven't really run them before either, and they're doing pretty well. You know, it's fixed setup, so it's a level playing field.
And I think just the fact you know the other guys you're racing with, so many drivers who have run NASCAR have made the comment that, you know, this is the best racing that, like, they've never run fuel stop to fuel stop before, in any league, or especially not officials.
Yeah.
And so we've had, and it's been that's been the norm. So you know, it's not a fluke. It's guys who respect. I think everybody knows each other. Guys respect each other a little more, and it's been working out. You know, I had a Skippy's. Skippy's been, you know, looking forward to the Skippy season again, and my partner with the redneck racing team, your dad, but Mosport, which is, you know, my home track. But I was running P5, a solid P5. I was 10 seconds ahead. I'd never run. You know that. I'm never up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was running like I deserved to be in P5. I got to do my fuel stop. I come in. I watch the pit speed, you know, because I don't want to get any penalty. Fuel up, head out, and I just lost, I guess, just a touch of concentration. Black flag coming out of it. 15-second hold. Finished 10th. So that's going back to, you talked last week about sometimes you finish 10th and you're happy, or, you know, like this was one where, you know, I blew. We had like, I don't know, like 5 minutes left to go when I refueled, and I was 10 seconds ahead of the guy. Like you know, I had P5 without, I don't do anything stupid. But anyways, but that's the best I've raced. So I'm looking forward now. It just shows, and I learned a few things on that track, you know, even in that race, how to run a little faster. So I'm hoping that, you know, we're starting to get familiar with the tracks we're going back to, and I can start shaving some seconds, at least be somewhat more respectable. But hey, we were fourth place in the Constructors' Championship, so we totally overachieved, you know, and that's coming up.
Yeah, so the next race is obviously tonight. Where are y'all at tonight?
I was going to say Scuba, but I think that might be the jumpy trucks. I'm going to check here while we're talking.
You're at the Charlotte Roval.
Oh, the Charlotte Roval. But I just drove the jumpy trucks there, and so I kind of know how that track goes. We've raced that before, so
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And the car count should be better. They weren't bad on Sunday, but most sport is a purchase track. Some guys, you know, choose not to race. So
right. Yeah.
That's been a great series, and look forward to it. So yeah, we've got you know, I think, you know, the midgets moving to Friday. We were going to cancel them, and nobody will let us, and we had a good car count tonight with them. So that and the pro lates on Friday is going to be great as well. So you know, everything's tickety boo and just going along. We could use a few more sponsors. So if anybody knows of anybody, or a team wants to sponsor, we got a lot of teams that have stepped up to sponsor. But you know, it's giving back to the league a little bit and helping us out, because you know, nobody's making any money here except for broadcasters. So so we could use a few more sponsors. Other than that, everything's really going fairly well. And this is that time now between now and you know, our charity event, that we get a bit of a breather. Still got to schedule all the races. So, but I've got help this year with that. Jeff Barker stepped up. Nathan Aldrich has stepped up, and Trent Verstraeten has stepped up. So that's good. That, because you start doing too many races and you set them up wrong, and then you got to go back and change them, and it's just, and then you get into the beta UI crap. So, anyways, it's everything's kind of looking good. All we need now is to get all those unlimited guys to sign up for the Outlaws division, because that's, other than the retreads. Oh, we should talk about the retreads. You know, is I think we got like 14 guys. We got another guy that came out of the woodwork. What's their first name? Is it Bob Moore, Senior? Is it Bob? Whatever. Yeah. The Moore brothers, or Moore father son. So he came out, and I think he enjoyed himself. So we've got a few more, and so that's a riot. I'm telling you, we have.
I'm looking forward to seeing the retreads on a Wednesday night. I know that's on the schedule somewhere.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I think you'll get a lot of draw from guys that don't qualify for the retreads, that'll get in there and pal around on possibly in the broadcast chat and stuff. It'll be a good time.
It's going to be the top draw at every old age home, in North America. We're going to try to get all the old age homes to, maybe we'll get them to pick the podium, So, so anyways, it's no, we have fun with it. It's a great group of guys, and we've had some guest appearances. We had Zach Chapman. I don't know. He was hanging out, and I said, "I'll invite you to a race," and then and then I, kicked him out of the league after it was over. But he had a good time. He had a good time with all the guys. So it's you got the right attitude. We don't mind having you around. We have we clear black flags. We do wave arounds. We want everybody to be on the same lap.
Right.
And everything is inverted. The features are totally inverted, 100%. So we have a lot of fun. So it's a great group of guys. So I think everything's firing on all cylinders here. So. And then we got a few more things though planned. There's a few changes to the website we got planned. We got something coming. I don't know if you want to talk about that yet, or we unveil it at a later date when it's ready to be showtime.
Let's unveil it at a later date when you can remind me what it is that we're talking about. I don't remember.
So it's got something to do with a new page.
Yes. Now I think we may have talked about that briefly, but I will ask because right now I'm still a little strapped for time, getting wraps updated for different reasons. So I'm not sure exactly when that'll be. It'll absolutely be in the first half of this season, though. And we'll make a post, but keep your eye on the website. We're going to have some cool stuff coming out. Some people know what it is, whether we've said it or not before. I know I've talked to a few guys about it. So it'll be cool. I think a lot of people will be really excited about it. So and it'll definitely be good for our league too.
I think it'll be good for the league, and it's going to be something pretty cool. And then, I had another thought there, and it just gone. What the heck was it now? We're talking about that? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Sure. Have you got anything else you want to talk about?
I don't have anything else.
So I just wanted to mention, IRLM, iRacing League Manager. We're looking at the owner here. So it's not quite up to date yet. There's still some massaging going on. Preston's been away on business, so plus all the other stuff going on at season end. I was going to say year end, season end here. So the standings and all that stuff will be updated very shortly. But just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And, you're pedaling as fast as you can.
I anticipate I've had to been making sure I'm taking care of my wrap customers too, because I know there's several guys and some of them are probably watching that know I'm a little bit behind. So I'm getting those guys taken care of while I'm doing this. But yeah, if you go to the page right now, you'll notice there's a few icons that are missing and stuff, and there may even be a division that's not populated yet either. But I believe all of that stuff will be there by the end of the week. So week 1 results will be in and uploaded and everything. So I don't think it's not going to affect anybody in the long run. One of the things that is that still needs to be put up there are NASCAR points. We're obviously 3 weeks in. I do have a sheet for that, so I'll make sure that's up in the next day or so. So you guys can take a look.
To a spreadsheet for now or something, because I'm sure I'm starting to want to see that, because I've had some half decent finishes, but the others, until we get to week 2, it's not really an issue. Everybody knows how they finished, so they roughly know where they were.
Exactly.
But, so it should be good. So that's coming as well. So that was the only other thing I had. Oh no, the last thing, because you touched on it with all your paints and stuff. So we did have an edict about numbering system and getting it standardized, and I had stated that your last 2 numbers have to be full size. The first one could be the third one. The first of the 3 could be half size. I guess, not that I hadn't thought it through, but it caused a lot of duress with a lot of people, because people are going to have to go back and get paints done. Well, you for sure. But a lot of people, and it's going to cost them money. They needed to get all their skins, and it wasn't the intent that it's caused stress. It was really just trying to get consistency. So we backed off on that. But next season, there'll be something coming up for next season. So we will give you a season to get prepared for it. I'm sure most people get new skins and stuff within a season. So when you do, we'll make sure it's very clear what we require. So it is coming, but not anytime soon. Next season at the earliest. So my apologies, if I upset anybody or whatever, because I know I did. So anyways, we admit when we're wrong, and we fix those things. So anyways, that's about all I've got. And if anybody's stuck around this long, they'll get that apology. Otherwise, they won't.
And I'm just going to throw it out there one last time. If you want to help us produce for the podcast, we do this on Wednesday nights typically, just after the races. So if anybody's interested in helping, even if it's kind of part-time here and there, let me know, because we'll take the help. And if not, that's okay too. We'll keep chugging along. And
we'll work with you. I say we, but it's you. We'll work with them and help bring people along and train them. So
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So anyways.
All right, guys. Okay. Well, we appreciate you sticking around. I hope you enjoyed getting to hear from Chad a little bit and all the recapping from Hometown Heroes and the other stuff. And I guess we'll see you on the track.
For sure.